We're back. Today we're looking at practicing a Elizabeth question number 1. So how do we go ahead and attempt this question? Well, we know that it's 4 marks, so we'll get about 4 minutes to work on it, and it will be 3 very short paragraphs in length. We'll be given 2 sources, source A and B, and we need to use both sources equally to explain what we can learn about the key feature in the question. So in terms of our structure, it will look like this. In our first paragraph, we need to make a statement that both sources show important information about the key feature in our question. Paragraph 2, we must explain what we can learn from source A. And we need to do so by going beyond just describing what we see and instead explaining what we know using the source and the caption. Sometimes we forget about the little blurb at the bottom. We need to make use of that. In paragraph 3, we need to explain what we can learn from source B. Again, go beyond just describing what you see and explain what you know using the caption. So here's our question 1 that we'll do together. We have source A, the real problem of the poor is twofold. There are those who cannot work and those who will not work, both of which spend time wandering from town to town. And this is William Harrison writing in a book about poor people called The Description of England in 1577. In source B, we have a drawing of a vagrant being punished in the streets in 1571. We need to do our annotations, and we also need to do our quick notes to make sure we're including all the relevant information. And the examiners have done something quite clever to us here. They've given us some synonyms, those who cannot work and those who will not work, and those who spend time wandering from town to town. Now, this is where we have to use our own knowledge to realize that they're discussing the impotent and able-bodied poor and talking about vagrancy, rural depopulation, rack renting, new farming methods. Our drawing of a vagrant being punished in the streets, we should be linking to the fact this was a deterrent. We know Edward tried, he would burn the letter V into people's hands and on their foreheads. We can also link this to the poor laws.
Both sources contain useful information about the lives of the poor in Elizabethan times. Source A comments that the main problem facing poor people is caused by impotent poor who cannot work, and able-bodied poor who choose not to have jobs. This led to vagrancy and saw people wandering from place to place in search of work, possibly caused by new farming methods, and lead to the spread of disease and fear of rebellion. Source B shows a vagrant being punished in the streets in 1571. This was quite common for punishments to be in public, mainly to stop other people from committing the same crime. Vagrancy was a major issue and caused fear of rebellion and the spread of disease. Vagrants may also be punished by having a letter V branded into their skin. A response to this was the Elizabethan poor laws, set out to help the poor rather than just punish them.
Now that you have a chance to look at a sample answer, it's time to practice one on your own. Each of the questions, they'll appear for roughly 10 seconds. Feel free to pause that and be able to write it down on a sheet of paper or in your exercise book. Likewise, sample answers will also appear for roughly 10 seconds.
Both sources show aspects of the conflict with the Spanish Armada. Source A shows the Spanish fleet tightly packed together in its crescent formation with the English ships chasing. This made it very difficult for the English to attack while the Spanish were in this formation. Source A also shows fewer English ships as they attempt to attack the crescent formation of the Spanish. Source B is an account of the attack of the English fireships just before the Battle of Gravelines. Source B states that the English sent 8 ships on fire with tar and explosives into the Armada at night. The Armada was forced to cut anchor and disperse in all directions, and as a result broke their formation. Source A and B both share important information about Elizabeth's royal progresses. Source explains that progresses could last 19 days and had the finest clothing, as well as large crowds. A progress was Elizabeth's way to showcase her wealth and power, and to also get the general public to accept her as queen, due to her Protestant faith which people opposed. Source B shows Elizabeth on a progress at Sherborne Castle. In the image we can see a large crowd as well as expensive clothing, jewels, and other symbols of wealth. A royal progress was sort of a party and a form of propaganda to gain public support. The Queen was desperate for support, as she knew that Catholics in England would like to remove her from the throne. Source A and B both show important information about cruel sport in the Elizabethan era. Source A is a description of cruel sports written by a German traveller. The source itself tells us about cockfighting. I know that cockfighting was popular among all social classes. The poor would gather around the ring and gamble on which bird would survive, while the rich would watch from the stands above. Source B is a drawing from the 16th century which resembles bull baiting, once again especially popular with the poor. This was a very popular cruel sport as seen by the large crowds watching, many who would gamble on the outcome of the fight. The bull would be attacked by men or dogs, and sometimes chained to a post or blinded to make the event more gruesome,